And chlamydia.
Will thrill a nation. Its legacy is destined to change the world. Presenting Son of Beast, the world's tallest, fastest, only looping wooden roller coaster.
Deadliest.
Son of Beast, only at Kings Island.
Warning, some viewers may be too lame to enjoy the following information.
Son of Beast. One of the most legendary but also polarizing roller coasters of all time. For one, it still remains the tallest and
Why is it problematic, though? We're going to find out why it's problematic.
fastest wooden roller coaster that has ever been built to this date, and it will probably remain that way for a very long time. Watching these videos from the early 2000s, the ride looks majestic, and it was also the first modern-day wooden roller coaster to feature a vertical loop. But on the contrary, the ride was also one of the roughest roller coasters ever created.
These wooden roller coasters are always a big motherfucker to ride because they just feel like they hurt the shit out of your fucking neck and back when you're done. I've been on like one of these.
On its completion in the year 2000, the ride quickly
I admit I'm a big bitch when it comes to roller coasters. It really takes a lot of work to get me on one.
gained a reputation for just how brutal of an experience it offered due to a pattern of structural issues. And this is when the coaster was brand new. And what a shame, because Son of Beast was poised to be quite the crowd pleaser, standing at a height of 218 feet, or 66.5 meters, and reaching speed.
This guy's fucking video contains Rage Against the Machine. Is it like literally public domain music to use now?
Speeds of 78.4 miles per hour, or 126.2 kilometers per hour. This wooden mega roller coaster should have been extremely popular. And while it certainly attracted crowds, it left many riders unfortunately disappointed with its rough and unenjoyable experience. The ride would only operate at Kings Island for not even 9 years. In 2006, it would suffer a nearly catastrophic accident that would send 27 riders to the hospital.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And in 2012, this happened. What exactly went wrong with this wooden mega roller coaster?
I don't know what they're complaining about. It looks fine now.
In this video, we will be taking an in-depth look at Son of Beast to learn about all of its problems and also what caused them. Before we get started, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting the
Lay
like
down and pet your kitty with a pocket full of fluff.
button, that would be greatly appreciated, as that helps the channel greatly against the YouTube algorithm.
I have a fear of heights like you wouldn't believe, and yet I go flying all the place.
Right, let's dig in. During the late 20th and early 21st century, a major competition was occurring amongst amusement parks all over the world, especially in the United States. Parks had the goal of introducing the latest record-breaking roller coaster to capture the attention of the masses and to attract new guests. The craze really kicked off in 1989.
Look at that mustache. Holy shit, that guy was rocking the full fucking Saddam
When Cedar
Hussein.
Point in Sandusky, Ohio, introduced Magnum XL 200, the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster, and also the world's first hyper roller coaster. As defined by Cedar Fair, the parent company of Cedar Point, a hyper roller coaster is any coaster that stands over the height of 200 feet, or 61 meters. Standing at a height of 205 feet, or 62.5 meters, Magnum opened to a massive amount of height. Now, Magnum was a steel roller coaster, and with steel, it was easier to build them taller and faster due to the nature of the material. On the contrary,
Right.
wooden roller coasters require an enormous amount of wooden structure even for smaller coasters.
Yep.
So wooden coasters are typically built smaller than steel coasters because they are more complex to design, take longer to build, and also require more maintenance since wood does not last as long as steel. But the roller coaster wars would also influence wooden roller coasters. In
Cat cam.
1990, Six Flags Over Texas would introduce Texas Giant,
We
the
don't have to
world's
pay for this
tallest
one.
wooden roller coaster. Texas Giant stood at a height of 143 feet, or 43.6 meters, and absolutely dwarfed other wooden coasters. In order to build Texas Giant, over 900,000 board feet, or 2,100 cubic meters of wood was used. Only one
So that's like a whole fucking forest.
year later, in 1991, Cedar Point would introduce the next world's tallest wooden coaster, Mean Streak, a 161-foot or 49-meter tall mammoth of a wooden roller coaster. Being a larger coaster, Mean Streak required an even more impressive 1.7 million board feet, or 4,000 cubic meters of lump.
Okay, I don't care about fucking any of this. I want to know what happened to make this problematic. Oh, don't freeze. No, don't do this. Come on, go back.
Son of Beast, or SOB, would continue to operate for several years, during which it was still extremely rough. During this time,
This guy's using nothing but Rage Against the Machine in his background music. I don't know if I'm going to get flagged for this.
Kings Island continuously made modifications by altering the structure to improve smoothness and also to create a more stable platform for track. Kings Island worked under the guidance of R.V. Anderson Associates Limited, or RVA, with this task. Together, work was carried out to reduce lateral movement of the structure and the resultant wear on wood components. The excess movement of the structure was creating dynamic conditions not accounted for in the design or long-term maintenance of the structure. The majority of
God, look at the corner that goes on. The fact that that's all made out of wood would make me really nervous.
modifications increased the stiffness of the structure, which was good, but also increased the load bearing on individual components. We'll get into that later.
So basically, something got overstressed, it sounds like.
In 2005, Son of Beast trains were reduced from 6 cars to 5 cars long.
And then down to 50.
Imagine this was done to lighten the load on the structure, and I'm honestly surprised this wasn't done earlier in the ride's career. Meanwhile, RCCA claimed on their website that Son of Beast could run up to 7-car trains, which would have brought the weight of a fully loaded train to 26,250 pounds.
Oh, so much lighter.
906 kilograms. I think they were out of their minds. On May 22nd of 2006, Cedar Fair Entertainment Company announced
That's an enormous amount of stress to put on wooden components. Jesus
that
Christ.
they had outbid competitors and intended to purchase all 5 Paramount parks for $1.24 billion US dollars. The purchase would complete on June 30th of 2006, and Cedar Fair took responsibility and began operating all Paramount parks, including Kings Island. Only 9 days later,
Well, Carowinds is, definitely one of those, because he used to have, licensed properties there.
Son of
That's
Beast
all, Minions shit. Ugh.
would throw a massive middle finger to Cedar Fair and send 27 riders to the hospital.
Jesus.
On July 9th of 2006, an accident occurred in the Rose Bowl when a train was passing through the first lap of the Helix. While the train rode through bent number 290, a vertical member of the bent fractured and failed,
Oh,
leading the 2 other vertical members to fail as well.
look at the way that it split it, too. It just busted it completely off.
This caused the structure in the track to sag 5 inches, or nearly 13 centimeters.
That's an enormous amount. Holy shit.
Guests on this train probably felt a large pothole, but the train completed the track and returned to the station as normal. The next train cresting the lift hill, however,
Oh, my goodness.
would not come out as unscathed. With the track sagging and structure critically weakened at bent 290, this train rode the full force of the damage, and riders most likely felt an abrupt jolt, similar to a violent car accident. Fortunately, even with the damage to the structure, the train continued through the course and made it back to the station. Ride operators quickly made note of the injured state guests were in upon the train's arrival to the station, and stopped
Probably bloody noses, bashed heads. Yeah, fuck.
the other train, which was climbing the lift hill. Riders on the stopped train were then evacuated from the lift. Had this other train not been stopped, further damage to the structure could have caused a much worse jolt for riders, or even a potential catastrophic failure. As a result of this accident, all 27 guests aboard the scathed train were taken to the hospital. Most of these injured guests reported head and neck injuries, and thankfully no guests had any life-threatening injuries.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to get whiplash like a motherfucker.
All but 2 of the victims were released from the hospital that day. The ride remained closed as a further investigation took place to find the root of the problem. On July 27th of 2006, SEA Limited was requested to evaluate Son of Beast and find out how exactly the structural failure occurred.
Your fucking ride cars were extraordinarily heavy and putting a huge amount of fucking, singular stress pressure on a component. That's what? That's too much fucking weight. This stuff is made out of wood. I mean...
Investigation took place between July 20th...
That's why they try to make roller coasters and stuff like this out of steels, because they have the ability to withstand that much pressure.
September 28th of that year, in close coordination with the Ohio Department of Agriculture, as well as Cedar Fair and Kings Island. There was a fear that problems from the original design, combined with modifications made to the structure over time, created a much larger problem that would make it unsafe to ever reopen Son of Beast. SEA would report back many findings. One was that there were no deficiencies in the physical properties of the failed wooden members. In fact, it was
wooden members
found that the southern yellow pine was within or above industry strength specifications. Instead, it was determined that the structure was improperly designed and caused certain members to experience forces that were beyond the load specifications of the southern yellow pine used on the ride. Additionally, the work that Kings Island and RVA had done to increase the stiffness of the structure unfortunately further
This is adorable.
concentrated loads on these individual members. Thus, the improvements that were made increased the vulnerability of an already existing design deficiency.
Are you
In the case
watching?
of the accident,
I'm
the original
watching.
vertical member that failed was loaded above its design limit due to an arrangement issue with other supporting members.
There you
Without
go.
using too many physics terms, too much horizontal force was placed on the specific vertical member.
There you
and
go.
Not enough horizontal support was actually
Yes, it is.
present at this piece to absorb the pressure.
I've
Now,
heard of Tom Morello's other band, but I've never listened to it.
even though the design capacity of this vertical member had always been exceeded during its service life, a failure had not
she's
occurred
touching
yet
the screen.
due to a factor of
Hold on.
safety built into the design specifications. This means the structure was essentially over-designed to help avoid a failure. In order for the member to actually fail, the ultimate strength of the wood member had to be exceeded, meaning more force would have to be applied to that member than it could physically withstand. And the combination of structural changes in specific weather, service, or loading conditions made that happen on July 9th of 2006. Luckily, the design deficiency that caused the failure was local to just the surrounding area of bent 290. It was determined that the deficiency
Jesus Christ, look at how much fucking damage the wood got.
could be eliminated with the addition of specific structural
Uh-oh.
components. However, after a full structural evaluation of the entire
Are you a
ride,
CAD
the same
engineer?
design deficiency was found at another 50 locations within the structure.
Good God.
These locations would also need to be corrected with the same
Again, that's because it was made of fucking wood. Okay, so yeah, that's a mess. That's an absolute mess. Damn. Yeah, I've never trusted wood. I've never trusted wood roller coasters because of that. Because they're just fucking dangerous seeming. They just feel rickety. They just feel like they're gonna fall the fuck apart.